They say on certain nights, when the wind cuts through the trees and the dark feels just a little too close, you might see a light flickering on the side of the road. And if you follow it, you just might meet a man who has been wandering the earth for nearly 400 years. The man that they call Stingy Jack. Now, Jack was no good man. He was a liar, a trickster, and mean as they come. Folks in his village whispered that he cheated friends, stole from strangers, and laughed at anyone foolish enough to trust him. But the devil admired Jack's wickedness. He wanted Jack's soul for himself. One autumn night, the devil invited Jack for a drink. They drank late into the evening, sharing tales of their deceit, reveling in the pain and misfortune that they had wrought upon others. Truly, these two seemed to have become fast friends. But when the time came to pay, Jack, true to his name, refused. He convinced the devil to change into a coin to cover the bill. The devil agreed, but then Jack slipped that coin into his pocket alongside a silver cross. Trapped, furious, the devil squirmed, but he couldn't escape. And Jack, grinning wide, made him swear not to bother him for a whole year, and he would let him go. And so it was. A year later, when he came to collect Jack's soul, the devil found him crying, begging for freedom, begging for forgiveness. He admired the sorry fellow, so he granted Jack one request. So Jack requested the devil climb a tree and bring back one last juicy apple for him to eat. And so the devil agreed. He slowly climbed up into the tree, and just as he spotted the apple, Jack ran up to the tree and carved a bunch of crosses into the bark. The devil was stuck, writhing in the branches. Jack only let him go again after winning a promise of 10 more years of freedom, and that when Jack died, the devil would not claim his soul. A few years later, Jack's time came, and he died. He showed up to heaven, and St. Peter turned him away. He was too cruel, too selfish, too rotten, and so he went to hell. And when he got to hell, the devil laughed in his face. "I promise not to take your soul, Jack, and I keep my bargains." And so the devil handed him one single coal from the fires of hell and cast him back into the night. Jack hollowed out a turnip, stuffed the coal inside, and set out wandering the earth. No rest, no home, no salvation. Only a ghostly lantern glowing in the dark. Do you know what we're talking about today, Gage?
No, I want to say the spook light, but I'm almost certain that's not it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wasn't sure how much kind of suspense I'd keep you in for what we were talking about, but so far I think I'll just kind of keep you in suspense what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're in October though. This is October. We've officially entered spooky season, as they call it. And I hope that the story has conveyed that what we're talking about is like at least tangentially spooky, right?
Yeah.
Great. Let me share my screen and we will all keep notes and you can let me know what thoughts and questions you have.
Before that...
Oh, yeah. Let's introduce ourselves.
Man, how embarrassing. We haven't changed since last week. Knee slapper.
Clothes.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to Everything But the Cats, the podcast where we talk about everything. Every single thing under the sun. We're going to talk about it. We do, however, stick to a pretty... we like our seasons. We really like our seasons. Yeah. And we're entering spooky season. We're going to talk about some spooky season stuff. After that, we're probably going to talk about being thankful. And then after that, we're definitely talking about Christmas stuff.
Yes.
But there will be other things spread throughout. And who knows how that's going to go. We'll find out one way or another. And you'll be along with us. That being said, again, we are everything but the cats. Thank you for joining us. If you like the kind of content that we put out, if you like hanging out with us, please subscribe so that you can stick around for more of the adventure, hear about us talking about more of the things, and maybe so you can join us for an episode. But regardless, thanks for hanging out. Please enjoy the ride while we get into this. My name is Gage.
I'm DJ.
And that is who we are.
Yeah.
Heck the cats.
Heck the cats. All right. And today, what we're talking about is a mystery. But before we can get to what we're talking about, we need to go way, way back to the origins of Halloween. Gage, I have a question. What do you know about the origins of Halloween?
So I know that there is some reference to the pagan holiday of Samhain, which is spelled Samhain, but they don't know how to spell. And I know that that was something that we believe and understand to have been practiced long before All Hallows Eve or All Saints Eve, which is the night before All Saints Day, which was the Christian version started by the Catholic Church in like the 1400s, I think. So yeah, but it does go back a long way. But All Saints, which is what Halloween is based on, the name at least, is Christian in origin, which I think is funny. Also, haunted houses as we have them today were started by the Catholic Church. True story. And same for like dressing up in costumes and trick or treating and stuff. Not necessarily started by the Catholic Church, but very heavily encouraged by the Catholic Church before it got commercialized. But yeah.
Well, there goes the episode. That's everything.
All right.
Done.
That's everything.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know for the most part. I was planning on making like my own video on this for TikTok at some point.
Okay.
But I just hadn't started researching it yet.
Well, now you can get some shorts out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Gage said, we're going to start the story way back in Samhain, spelled Samhain, and we can really make fun of the Irish or the Celts if we want to. Pretty easy to do. Sorry, the Irish or the Celts.
Man, you look like you'd die if you didn't have potatoes.
I did Google how to pronounce, and so for the audio listeners, the word is Celts. I Googled how to pronounce it, and what I discovered is that the answer is like definitely Celts, unless like you're talking about like the Celtics, like the basketball team. It's Celtic, but that's the old joke. Anyways, Celt is how we're gonna say it. Anyways, Samhain was one of the most important festivals in the ancient Celtic calendar. So I guess we'll underline this. Boom. Samhain. It looks like Samhain. It's going to trick you this whole time, unless you're Irish. Sorry. But anyways, it was celebrated in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. Like, started roughly 2,000 years ago, and it would begin at the sunset of October 1st, and then last through November 1st. So like a day or so. Yeah, no need to really write that down. But that's how long it would last. And then in their minds, it kind of represented like the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. So harvest is over, let's celebrate. Harvest parties are a thing throughout like pretty much all civilizations, I assume. A lot of civilizations like, hey, the harvest is done, let's get loaded. So it's a simple way to celebrate. And so it marked the beginning of the winter, which they considered the darker half of the year, which is, I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't need convincing. So, yeah. And then it was also like, not only was it related to, the harvest is over, let's get loaded, but there was also kind of like spiritual significance. I might have to delete the screen and empty it out. I didn't really plan my notes here, but there's like spiritual significance where like, the idea is that, during Samhain, the boundary between the world of the living, the world that Gage and I are in right now, and others, I guess, and the spirit world grew thin. And so you start seeing ghosts and stuff like that. And so this allowed spirits, both like benevolent ancestors from the olden days, your old Irish grandpa who called you a mean name or whatever, as well as like harmful evil beings to cross over. Gage, do you have any thoughts or questions so far?
So I would assume, well, it sounds like there's a lot of similarities between like every culture has something similar to this. Not
Sure.
every, but a lot of them. Because I mean,
Yeah.
even look at like Dia de los Muertos. Like, look at like, there's a lot in that celebration of the Day of the Dead where it's about remembering your ancestors, but there's also some level of them being more present than at other times of the year. And I
Yeah.
think, isn't there like something about like you have to be able to guide them, or is that something else? I'm thinking like you have to invite, like there's something about like the soul could be trapped or wander or lost or whatever if you don't welcome it, or what
I
is it?
The first time I saw Coco, my pants ripped. Like we finished watching the movie and then we were going to drive back to her dorm and like watch, like just spend hours chatting outside, and then my pants ripped. So I drove her back and then went back to Boatman, and that was that. I paid attention during the movie, but the movie was like the least important thing that happened that night.
Okay. And it could, I've never seen Coco, so I don't
Yeah.
know anything
Hey,
about the movie.
if you're Mexican and we're kind of being the worst right now, sorry. We would love to learn more. It's just
Mhm.
not what I've studied for tonight. Today. I don't know when you're watching this. For October.
Yeah,
Uh
that's all I got as far as I know. It's,
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that cultures would celebrate after the harvest.
Yeah.
That's what most of the Halloween. So, okay, but here's a question I have, and you may or may
Sure.
not have the answer.
Sure. I bet I don't.
Why is it that there's this association with the end of the harvest and a thinning of the veil, so to speak, between the living and the dead?
So I was just thinking about that just now, trying to brainstorm ideas. And my guess is because, and I'm going to write it down as I say it, everything is dying.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, in fall everything's dying.
So I can't guarantee that that's what it is, but like the world is becoming less colorful. Like
Mm-hmm.
the color is being like taken out of the world. It's becoming brown. It's still a color, but like brown and lifeless. The birds are becoming quieter, and a lot of the life in the world is like leaving. And so my assumption is that it's because everything is dying. You're even getting ready to enter the dark half of the year. So that's my theory. But I'm not a Celt or a Celt, so I can't really speak for them.
That's fair. That's fair. Can't either.
Yeah, but something that I assume you'll see in a lot of these cultures as well is this idea that like when the veil is thinned, not only is there a chance that like grandpa is going to come visit, and that's super exciting and we love grandpa, but also like something evil could come across. And so a lot of
Yeah.
times there will be rituals about like, okay, so how do we welcome the good stuff and scare away or like ward off the evil spirits. And so a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times they would do things like lighting large bonfires, which also like great tool for partying.
Oh yeah.
I have it on good authority. The only bonfire I was ever invited to was the
The youth group
book
one?
burning,
Book burning?
the youth group one. Where was that at?
It was at Colby's house, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that was before my time then.
Okay. Book burning?
Yeah. It was summer after. I'm gonna guess it was summer after junior year because I think the seniors were the ones doing it. It was at Jonathan's house. I got invited because I was friends with Colby
Yeah.
and Caleb, and essentially we went and burned like someone might have like had a textbook that they stole and burned the textbook, but for the most part it's just like notes from classes, and like there might have been a copy of like a book as well, like Catcher in the Rye or something. But it was just a huge bonfire, and we threw in like notes from the year and burned them.
Okay.
And it was fun. I didn't belong there. It was pretty mild as far as parties go. Like it wasn't a party. There wasn't. I don't think there was like alcohol or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely pretty mild as far as parties go. But like I did not belong there. Like I was tethered to Colby and Caleb, and like that was all the belonging that I did, was that I knew them. So anyways, bonfires are good for parties. And then people would also like wear disguises, which I think is a Day of the Dead, like in Mexico thing. Like I think some of
Mm-hmm.
that, like the skeleton stuff, is maybe to scare away spirits
Maybe?
or to welcome them. I don't really remember. But they would wear disguises, and then they would like leave out offerings of food and drink. Like, hey, I left a walnut on my windowsill, so don't come after me. I'm a good guy. Here, let me make a note. I've not been making notes for a little bit. I don't know if walnuts were actually a thing in ancient Ireland. But anyways, they would do that. And they also did a lot of like these different divination rituals, especially involving like apples and nuts. And it's really funny. A lot of it, I was reading through and doing my research on this. A lot of it comes out to essentially be like middle schoolers getting together and playing MASH.
Okay.
So, for instance, one of the things that they would do is let me draw an apple real quick. Okay, it's an ugly apple, but that's okay. They would peel an apple in one long strip, and ideally it would be like this single unbroken coil. So you peel it and you get all the way around, and then you take this skin and you toss it over your left shoulder. And then you turn and you look, and the shape that the peel lands in is like essentially like that's the initial of your future spouse's name. You throw it over your shoulder and you see the initial of your spouse, which I assume that most of the initials, I didn't know I'd be drawing today, but it works out.
Did you ever play MASH?
Yeah, of course. Kind of look like this. Which I don't know the Celtic alphabet very well.
It's cursive.
Yeah, it's cursive. Or like I assume like if you peel it all in one strip, it almost ends up like this.
It's early Cyrillic.
His first initial is Ooh. All the parents naming their kids Ooh to make sure they're set up for success in the future.
And then the romance department.
Yeah. Then there's another iteration. A lot of Apple stuff here, which it kind of said, like I kind of said earlier. Another version, you peel an apple in front of a mirror, and then like you're watching this mirror, and supposedly, and like so Samhain happened over the course of like thousands of years. Like it's a 1,000-year-old festival. So some things that I'm mentioning might have happened during one age, might not have happened during another age. So if you're like, why did they have mirrors like 2,000 years ago? I don't know.
They did in Rome, so probably.
Probably. But anyways, you peel an apple in front of a mirror, and supposedly, while you're peeling this apple, your future husband's image would appear in place of your reflection. Super awkward if you're just like a dude that's been you really want a wife, but they're like, hey, we need you peeling apples right now. Like the big festival's coming up. You're like, oh no. Oh boy. Super awkward if you're a woman that wants a wife, I suppose. But yeah, so again, it's like another like MASH thing where it's like, who am I going to marry? But not to worry. What the heck? Just a sec. I goofed.
That rhymed. What the heck?
I don't think I can control Z my way out of this. Oh no. Catholics haunt houses. You heard it here first, folks. All right, forget you ever saw that. We're just going to shut her down, and we're going to create a new one and never scroll.
Okay, so Stingy Jack.
Yeah.
Is that like the origin of jack-o'-lanterns then?
Don't know.
Okay.
I do know, Gage.
I mean, yeah, because I know that they were originally made with turnips. I knew that part. Sometimes I get like real history confused with Gravity Falls, and I'm like, they were originally made with watermelons. What are you talking about?
That's funny. Yeah, Stingy Jack, the watermelon boy.
That was my nickname in high school.
So that was one thing. Another thing is, so bobbing for apples is a thing that everyone has heard about. Have you ever done it?
I have.
What was the purpose when you were bobbing?
To get an apple out of a bucket of water with your teeth.
But like, why? Why did
social pressure?
Are you sure that it wasn't because you knew that whoever got an apple out first would be the next one to marry or have good fortune in life?
I didn't know that. But here's the thing. It wasn't a there weren't multiple of us with our heads. It was a small bucket. I'm almost certain I was the only person who did it at this party.
You said social pressure. Did you manage to get an apple?
I did.
All right, so let me make another note here. Doesn't work.
So it was sophomore year of college, and I was wearing Jacob Rice's suit to a Halloween party. I was Slender Man.
Love it.
And it was the College Heights upper room Halloween party.
Yeah.
And they had this little bucket. They were doing bobbing for apples. I don't remember if I saw anybody else do it before. Maybe I just walked up and did it to this random bucket that had apples in.
Quaddie's like, hey, I really hope no one gets confused about our apple bucket.
Well, and I got an apple, and the way you get an apple is not by trying to bite it. You have to like push your head all the way to the bottom of the bucket and sink your teeth into it against the pressure of the bottom, and that's how you get it out.
Yeah.
And then I ate the apple. But like, how gross is that when you think about it?
Yeah, it sounds gnarly. Whoever does it fastest is the next to marry or to have good fortune in life. I will say I'm fine making fun of superstition, right? But one time I used to live in a small town called Bronson, Kansas. I don't need to write this down. I'm trying to get us big like pirate software. Have you kept up with that at all? Does that mean anything to you?
I know who that is kind of vaguely, and I know they made a statement recently that has gotten a lot of traction. I don't remember anything else.
Cool. Yeah. Irrelevant. Not important to the discussion. But anyways, I live in a small town named Bronson, Kansas, and it was like 300 people, which is small enough that it can essentially function as like a Stardew Valley town. And what I mean by that is that every year there was a town Christmas party that every single person in town would show up to. Which, if that's not a Stardew Valley thing, I don't know what is.
That's so nice and cool, though. I love that.
It was so cool. It was great. Like, I do think it was a great thing. It'd be hard to do in Joplin.
It's like Flagpole Festival in Mound Valley, Kansas.
I'll take your word for it. But yeah, so we would all get together. And then one year, I can't remember if it was Christmas. It was probably Christmas. They were doing like a not a raffle because you didn't have to like buy tickets or anything, but essentially a raffle. Like everyone's name was in the bucket and they were just drawing for things. And I kept noticing that like people would happen to be walking in front of the person calling the names, like pulling names out and calling them. And like as they're walking in front of her, she would say their name, like pull it out and announce their name. And so I see that the next gift is the staggering amount of, wait for it. Sorry, wrong end of the pen. $14.
Mm.
And I decide that it is time for me to become a rich young fellow. And so I walk in front of her as she's pulling out the name, and she says, DJ Blethen. And I, like, the plan worked. I was like, this is crazy. I don't think this is going to work because this isn't how real life works. But this is what I've been seeing, so I'm going to try it. And I tried it, and it worked. And I can't explain it. Like, maybe there were no names on there, and she was just saying who she happened to see in front of her. That's, like, the only explanation that makes sense for how many times it was the person walking right in front of her, and the fact that it worked for me, too. But it did. So, to quote, I don't know, The Office,
Michael
I'm
Scott.
a little stitious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, apple bobbing. And then another thing that they would do is that they would eat, again, this is MASH, but back then, they would, like, drop egg whites into water, and the shape that they made, like, predicted the number of future children. They would watch crows, and, like, the number or, like, the direction they flew in were, like, different omens. And then they would eat, like, a salty, almost like a cracker cake kind of thing in 3 bites, and then go to bed like without drinking anything, and just go to bed without speaking. Like, the idea is they want to have as dry of a mouth as possible when they go to bed, because they would then dream that like their future spouse would like offer them a drink. And so let me make another little important note here. Where is my pen?
So much of the Samhain stuff is about future spouses.
Correct. And some of it's about like fortune and the new year. Well, yeah, it is kind of like a new year festival sort of. So some of it is like fortune in the new year.
Okay.
But a lot of it is spouses and figuring out who you're going to marry, how many kids you're going to have, all that kind of stuff.
Interesting. It reminds me just vaguely, because of my vast experience with their culture, of the New Year's festivals in Japan. But they have like, legitimately, they do have different types of shrines. And you can go like make offerings at the shrines to get fortunes, and the fortune like might say something about a specific thing. It could be like you go to a shrine that's specific toward relationships. You could go to a shrine that's specific towards like work or something like that. Is my understanding based on like barely watching any anime that includes it. And it could just be that this one anime had it in it to kind of make like to be weird, I guess. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of American shows that include things in the show that's commonplace that I'm just like, I've never done that in my life. Like cow
That's
tipping.
fair.
Do you know anyone who's gone cow tipping?
Toe Mater and Lightning McQueen, Ka-chow.
You should know. You was there.
Isaiah, like, so in the scene, the tractors tip over,
Yeah.
and then they make a fart noise.
Yeah.
Isaiah ate that stuff up.
Oh, I can imagine.
Big fan of tractor toots.
Same.
No, I don't know anyone that's gone cow tipping.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think so. I might.
That's called cow tipping. Ha, ha, ha.
Amen.
Do you know what that's from?
Is that Simpsons movie?
It's a barnyard.
Oh, okay. I watched that like twice. It wasn't. I was living in Uniontown when that came out, and so I feel like I had to be like extra averse to like all that stuff, lest it infect me. So I had to play it safe whenever a new like farm movie came out. I was living in Bronson, actually. Let me circle it because that's what the cool guys do. Where is my pen? Found it. Anyways, essentially, this festival is people trying to figure out who am I going to marry, and like to be fair, like it's kind of the
Same, man.
like you're getting to like the winter, and like do you know
It's
the most
cuffing
popular...
season.
It's what?
It's cuffing season.
Do you know the most popular season for popular month for people like children being born? At least in the U.S.
I would assume like September.
It is September.
Yeah.
And it's because nights get long and
It's cold.
yeah, it's cold. You gotta stay warm somehow. And so it makes sense that like right as winter is starting, people would be like, "Oh, who am I gonna marry? How many children am I gonna have?" All that kind of stuff.
I ask myself that question every day.
So do I. No, I don't. I'm pretty well settled.
The
on
second
at least
one,
one
maybe.
Of those questions. Yeah. But anyways, that's kind of a grand overview of Samhain. Another thing that they would do is they would carve. Let me. That was my mouse pad. Where do you keep going? Why are you this way? There you are. Okay. Let me draw a turnip real quick. I don't know what a turnip looks like. They would carve scary faces in turnips and put candles inside to scare away evil spirits who might be nearby. Yes, Gage?
First and foremost, I'm drawing you a turnip real quick, but I feel the need to point out because I was writing notes on my phone, but I changed to this. The only other note that I have so far is egg whites equal children, but that's a turnip.
That's a pretty good turnip, Gage.
Thank
Can you draw an angry face on it? Thank you, Gage. That's pretty good. I would be, if I were an evil spirit and I saw that, I'm so out of there. Anyways, so that's Samhain. And as we've talked about, eventually Samhain becomes Halloween. And so the question is, how does that happen? How did Samhain become Halloween? And I want to assure you that you still do not know where we're going with this.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I do want to. So, isn't it that Samhain becomes Halloween because the Catholic Church, the church, was like, hey, so there's this festival going on that is to celebrate the harvest. So we want to kind of like co-opt that because we celebrate the harvest too, but we want to do it in honor of God. And so we set up All Saints Day, which had already been previously celebrated, but they moved it to November 1st so that it could be All Saints Eve or All Hallows Eve the night before All Saints Day. Wasn't that kind of what it was? To kind of like combat the pagan holiday?
In the 700s, Pope Gregory III moved the Feast of All Saints, which was a feast to honor Christian saints and martyrs, to November 1st. And it was, the way I put it in my notes, is it was part of the age-old Christian practice of putting Christian festivals on the same day as pagan festivals to Christianize them.
It's the age-old pagan the age-old pagan practice of converting to Christianity.
Yeah, love that. No, I am curious what thoughts you have on that age-old Christian practice of Christianizing holidays. Because I've got some opinions that I'm happy to share, but I'm curious what thoughts you have regarding that.
I mean, until we do it to the Honda days, it's not worth it. I mean, genuinely speaking, I feel
Yeah.
like so the main holiday that an argument can be made for that genuinely is Halloween. Like that's the main holiday that an argument because there is evidence of a Christ mass existing before the pagan holidays that most people try to claim Christmas is taking over. Like that's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the question that people would ask would be, was that celebrated on December 25th? Because like this, like there was an All Saints Day,
Mhm.
but it was moved to November 1st for this reason.
We have like probably second century, I don't know if it's first century, but like second century
Yeah.
sources that like place the date of Christ's birth in December. So like it is a thing that like I
Yeah,
think
sure.
people overinflate the value of a lot of the arguments they make about it. So I would say my main thought on the practice is I don't think it's as widespread as common teaching would lead you to believe. I do think it exists for sure, and I think Halloween
Yeah.
is a great example of that. I personally don't care a ton about it. I think that like I think it's like I think holidays are fine, holy days, that's what the name means. And I think that like if you become a Christian, you had practiced like you were a pagan beforehand, or you become a Christian and you were like anything before you were a Christian, but you still like out of habit almost like enjoy the holidays you practiced, but you want to make them glorifying to Christ. I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't, because I think that God is so in the business of redemption, and that includes the things that are silly and trivial, but that are
Yeah.
important to us. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's weird to do it at like a governmental level or something like
Sure.
that per se. But like if a group of pagans become Christians and they're like, "Hey, we want to like keep doing this holiday that we've always done, but we want it to glorify God now." Like by all means.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so I generally agree. Like I don't really have a huge problem with it. Especially like I think someone could make an argument where I actually could have a problem with it if we're
Mhm.
honest. Because if the idea is that like the Pope shows up and says like, "Hey, actually, this holiday is All Saints Day now, and like if you celebrate Samhain, like we'll kill you."
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
I've got beef with that, right? So like I could have an issue with it, but like generally, so I can't remember how it came up, but when I was in Africa one time, I was talking to one of the guys I met there, and he was just talking about how it really kind of irritates him that a lot of people like claim to have issues with the church kind of taking over pagan holidays. And the issue, it's very similar to what you said, like when you look at holidays, like you've got joy and celebration and like jubilee and like people being excited and like celebrating the harvest and celebrating like what's to come and all that, and like God can't steal any of that because that was his. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
it is his, it was always his, it will always be his. Like those things are his, and so not only can he not steal them, like you said, like he's in the business of redemption. And so when like there's a version of something, like he's in the business of making it better and like fulfilling things. um so I yeah, I don't really have a huge issue with it either, but I was just curious what your thoughts and opinions were. So that's the
I do have an
700s.
issue,
Sorry.
real quick. I do have an issue
Sure.
with the Americanization of Christian holidays.
Mm.
I have a big issue with that.
They're becoming repaganized.
They are. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. Also, I do have an issue with Christians who don't celebrate Halloween but who do celebrate the 4th of July. You're the real pagans. Sorry, that's really harsh. I meant it to be. Because that is the closest thing to a pagan holiday that we still celebrate actively in churches. It's literally worshiping the state.
Yeah.
That's the most Roman and pagan thing you can do.
Yeah.
And yet we're
I,
okay
I
with
think
that.
I think you can make an argument for like I think that there are some good-hearted Christians who like would fully not only see what they're doing as this, but like would genuinely say and mean that like they're worshiping God for the freedom that they've been given or
For sure,
whatever
for
else.
sure. And I totally
Yeah.
get that and resonate with that. But it goes back to what I was saying. Like if you already celebrated it before you were in Christ and now you're in Christ and you're still celebrating it to his glory now, that's a different story altogether. It's just the idea of like saying Halloween's evil but 4th of July's okay is a very weird thing to me.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I still, yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I think that's a lot to think through. Would definitely, as a non-parent, didn't really have to think about it. Like it's all good. It's all fun. As a parent, like it does just raise questions like, okay, how do we want to engage Halloween? Because I think that
For
like
sure.
talking about Halloween in particular, I don't know All Saints Day, right?
Yeah.
But like a feast to honor Christian saints and martyrs, like let's do that thing. Like
Oh yeah.
let's do that. Honestly, like dressing up, like Isaiah wants to dress up as Bluey and like go knock on people's doors and get candy. Heck yes. Or knock on people's trunks and get candy. I don't care. Whatever. But like stuff like I don't know. I think that there are compelling enough cases everywhere that I'm pretty swayable about a lot of stuff. So
No,
raising my son with no conviction.
it's one of those things that I'm like, it's just, I think that we make issues that aren't as black and white
Oh, for sure.
into black and white things. And like if you're doing trunk or treat or Halloween, you're doing Halloween.
Yeah.
And like it's silly to me that you call Halloween evil, but you still do Halloween. I'm not you, but I mean like people
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
general, like in the church. It's like, no, we're not doing Halloween. We're doing trunk or treat. It's on the same night. We're still dressing up. We're still handing out candy, but we're not doing Halloween. I'm like, you are.
Yeah. So if anything, it's almost like we'll talk a little bit more about this soon. It's like the Christianized version of a festival.
So true.
So like, yeah. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We'll talk a bit more about kind of the implications of how it worked out back in those days.
Yeah.
So in the 700s, All Saints Day happens. Why is my pen a chotch? There we are.
And it was originally in like, wasn't it like originally in like April or something?
I haven't the foggiest idea.
Okay. I know it was very different from November 1st. That's all I remember from when I looked into
Oh,
it.
actually, oh, like when the original Feast of All Saints was.
Yeah, the original
Yeah,
feast before he
probably. I know it
changed it.
wasn't. I know it was November 1st.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in the 10th century, so the 900s, the church added. I don't know if you know this. All Souls Day.
I do.
Okay.
I don't remember the distinction, but I do know that. I remember that from when I was looking it up.
Yeah. So it's essentially like a day. The wording that came from, I think, Wikipedia, if we're honest, is to pray for the souls of the undead, meaning like those in purgatory.
I've always disliked the word undead
Yeah.
because, like, I'm not dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Pray for my soul.
I am undead.
But yeah, so essentially it's just another day like that's added into it. And with all of these, you do have the same thing. Like it's kind of like trunk or treat, or like a church's say fall festival that isn't trunk or treat, but trunk or treating is happening there. But there's also a hayride and all that stuff. And what you end up with is, I didn't mean to put a line there, but that's kind of perfect place to put it. Kind of like syncretism of sorts. But like I don't think unholy syncretism necessarily. It's
Yeah.
just you get elements of the Irish festival, you get elements of the Christian festival. Not that the Irish are directly opposed to Christ. The pagan festival and the Christian festival.
Not after Patrick.
Not after Patrick. You get elements of both, and they come together, and you end up with kind of a new holiday that took elements of both and now is its own thing. And there's something really beautiful about that. About like both like the the way that the church celebrates and does stuff, influencing the way that the world celebrates and does stuff, but also the way that the world celebrates and does stuff, like influencing the way that the church like interacts with the world and sees the world. I think that there is something beautiful there and something good there. There's something incarnational there.
Mm-hmm.
So I do generally think it's good. And then you end up with like the day before is called All Hallows Eve. Hallows, who knows? It's with an A though. Do you know what hallow or hollow means?
Saint or soul.
Great guess.
Is it soul?
No and no. Holy.
Holy. All Holy's Eve.
Yeah, so it's essentially like the evening before we celebrate like the holy people. Like we are going to pray for holy people. We're going to remember holy people. Like it's the evening before that. So it ends up called, the night before is All Hallows Eve, Hallow. I don't care. One of those two, and I'm going to keep dancing back and forth every time. And then eventually, over time does what
All
it does.
Hallows.
Words. And we end up with the name Halloween.
All Hallows Evie.
All Hallows Evie. Like I said earlier, some new traditions pop up, some old traditions remain. Sometimes new stories pop up to explain old traditions. And so, in the 1600s, well, that's the wrong button. In the 1600s, there began being stories shared about a fella named Stingy Jack, who I mentioned earlier, which was a story to explain why people use turnip lanterns to scare off evil spirits. And so you already asked about this, Gage, but after he, got by the devil, they began calling him Jack of the Lantern. But because they're Irish, eventually it was shortened to Jack-o'-lantern. Jack-o'-lantern. Angela asked if I was going to do an Irish accent when I said that, and I said no. And then eventually the name for the turnip with the light in it was shortened to Jack-o'-lantern. And so let me Jack-o'-lantern. And so, Gage, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about how pumpkins became the jack-o'-lantern?
That's very close. And so now we enter a section that I'm calling an abridged. I needed to turn on like a helpful guide. That's okay. History of pumpkins. What, Gage?
Is that the main? The main dish is an abridged history of pumpkins?
No, we're just getting started. Now, hopefully this last section will be pretty quick. What we're talking about is how pumpkins became almost like the icon of Halloween. Or like, not Halloween, just like fall.
Fall in general.
Yeah. So we're talking about how pumpkins became the thing. And so we've already got there kind of how jack-o'-lanterns became a thing. We'll talk about why jack-o'-lantern pumpkins became a thing, like you said earlier. But the big thing that we're going to talk about, and like the smallest little section of my notes actually, is pumpkin spice.
The big thing, the smallest thing. Pumpkin spice, okay. Pumpkin spice frustrates me because it's not pumpkin. It's allspice.
Correct.
And people think it's not pumpkin at all. It's the spices you add to pumpkin to make pumpkin pie and stuff like that. Pretty much. I actually really enjoy pumpkin seeds, but that's
okay. Yeah, no, I like pumpkin spice, and I know it's not pumpkin, but pumpkin spice has played a role in pumpkins being like the thing.
Sure. Yeah,
in my opinion. So, anyways, abridged history of pumpkins. So in 1492, what happened, Gage?
Columbus crossed the ocean blue.
Yeah, probably some other things too, but yeah, that's kind of the main thing. Columbus came
across,
and then
3-level rhyme.
We're pretty good. We're poets, and we weren't aware of it. Anyways,
really
so essentially, the short reason that pumpkins are going to become jack-o'-lanterns is because they're native to the Americas. That's it.
Because turnips weren't as plentiful.
We'll get into other reasons too, but that's the main reason. Pumpkins were native to the Americas. Turnips weren't as plentiful. There we are. But pumpkins have kind of a long history in America. So even before, obviously, before the Europeans arrived, the Native Americans were using pumpkins. They use them for food, and it says they use them for preservation. I don't know what that means. I didn't look further into that. But they at least used them for food. And so even before the Europeans arrived, the natives used them, because why wouldn't they? And not only, did they use them before we arrived, when the Europeans arrived, that was one of those things where I almost forgot to take notes. What's the point of this if I'm not taking notes? When the Europeans arrived, then, like, it's one of those things where the Native Americans, like, helped, like, hey, here's this plant, you can use this for food, try it, it's meaty or whatever. And so in pretty quick fashion, once the Europeans arrived, they began using pumpkins in soups, stews, breads. Let me write down Europeans real quick. So they began using it in soups, stews, breads, and then eventually, like, pumpkin pie recipes began to be formed and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, the first known American cookbook, which is called American Cookery by Amelia Simmons. Let me make a little note here. American Cookery, which was released in 1796, includes a recipe for, it's spelled, I'll write this down too because it's fun, pumpkin pudding. And it's like a recipe seasoned with mace, nutmeg, and ginger. So it's like the beginnings of, like, allspice.
Mace?
Like, yeah. Mace is a spice.
I mean, yeah, pepper spray.
Seasoned with pepper spray. If you do 3 squirts, you've done too much. But, like, the very first American cookbook, 1796, has recipes for pumpkin pudding that has the, like, kind of the beginnings of, like, an allspice type seasoning. So pretty early on, we're figuring it out. By the 1800s, pumpkin pie is becoming this traditional, like, harvest food, and it's, like, becoming more and more tied to Thanksgiving, which is another part of fall. Like, it's easy to think fall, Halloween, boom. Like, fall ends in October, and then there's an abyss until Halloween, and it's, like, kind of winter, essentially. Like, like, all the Halloween stuff falls off, for sure, at the end of October. And then it's like, well, I guess everything's dead until we go eat turkey with our family. But this year, I'm going to be in another country on a tropical island for, like, most of November. So it'll be really interesting seeing what that's like. But anyways, so in, like, a lot of stories back then, writers would use pumpkins, like, to kind of convey autumn, fall themes, as well as, like, spooky imagery. And so that's just another way that it, like, kind of builds, like, the symbolism. Like, it's a fall symbol. And then in the 19th century, a little thing happens called Irish
Potato famine.
And with the potato famine, a great number of Irish and Scottish immigrants come to America to stake out a fortune, grow some potatoes, and live it up. And so they show up and they bring the tradition of carving lanterns from turnips. And actually in England, they do beets. So they brought their tradition over here. And in America, pumpkins, it says in America, but, like, pumpkins themselves, pumpkins feed turnips.
Oh, DJ, real quick, I did look up how pumpkins were used in preservation.
Okay.
They would dry the pumpkin shells, and they could store different kinds of dry foods in them, such as grains and beans. Also, for winter storage, if you kept a pumpkin in a cool, dry place, it could be kept for a very long time, unlike some other things, which doesn't make sense to me. But it was also really good because you could make pumpkin jerky, pumpkin seeds, and make pumpkin powder that was useful in a lot of different kinds of foods. Have you ever eaten a turnip?
I assume I've eaten stuff with turnips in it.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I've had beets.
Huh?
I love borscht. Love borscht.
I've not had borscht.
I recommend it.
Yeah. I would do it. I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't eat.
Nothing I wouldn't eat once.
True. That's true. But, yeah. No, that makes sense. All the preservation. When it said preservation, I wondered if it was something to do with, like, opening it up and, like, putting stuff in it. So, definitely makes sense. But they show up and they say, hey, we like to carve these little things. And we can carve them and put faces in them and it scares the evil spirits away. And Americans are like, bro, let me tell you about this guy. Let me draw a pumpkin real quick. Not terrible.
No, that's good.
Passable pumpkin. Let me tell you about this guy. Let me draw a face on it. Let me tell you about this guy. And, like, essentially there were so many reasons to go for it because they were big and soft and plentiful, and there would eventually be lattes about them, unlike turnips, which were small, hard, and rare, and no lattes about them. So they replaced turnips and they became the carving medium. And so with that, pumpkins become, like, pretty central. Like, picture this, like, Halloween is a thing, but, like, I don't know if it wasn't a thing in America or it was, but like they just didn't really do that yet, like do carving or like how exactly that worked. But pumpkins became central to Halloween's look because of jack-o'-lanterns, which means that they became central to fall's look because Halloween is such a big part of fall. And
Yeah.
like the preparations for Halloween and the decorations and all that is very fall. And I'm just now realizing, like I mentioned earlier, it's interesting how fall kind of like falls into really two different seasons, technically three almost, where the first season is like pre Halloween and Halloween, where it's like spooky, and then November, where it's like we're gonna eat later, and then November to Christmas, where it's like we're gonna spend a bunch of money so that people
Big
feel
man's coming.
loved. The big man's coming. Big man's gonna get you. Yeah, Sully from Monsters Inc. is coming for you.
Garrett is coming.
Garrett is listening to this and he's gonna get you. But essentially, pumpkins become like central to Halloween's look. They become a very big part of the look of Halloween. And then at the same time, pumpkin pie. I fixed it. At the same time, pumpkin pie is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And so it's like part of like fall phase 2, right? Where like Thanksgiving, you're expecting pumpkin pie. And so it's like this thing, it's very convenient that it like it's ready to harvest at harvest time, because what you end up with is a season where like pumpkins are everywhere. And so with Thanksgiving, it becomes even more of like a fall thing. And then into the early 20th century, we start seeing like more how to like commercialized things. And we start to see pumpkin spice become more commercialized. Let me clear this out. Pumpkin spice. So we start to see pumpkin spice become more commercialized. And as a note, like you said earlier, pumpkin spice, obviously, not obviously, but it doesn't contain pumpkin. It's just the spices used to make pumpkin palatable. So usually that's like nutmeg, ginger, cinnamon, mace, a lot of times. What's the other one? Like, I feel like star anise sounds right, but that could just be another spice whose name I know, and I'm flexing.
Cinnamon, clove, black pepper,
Black pepper.
nutmeg, allspice. Okay, yeah, no, this is saying that the only 4 spices typically in pumpkin spice are cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and clove.
Let me make a note of this.
And allspice, but what is allspice then? Allspice is the dried, unripened berry of the myrtle pepper tree, or pimento, which is native to Jamaica and much of Central America.
Sweet.
That's actually my favorite Spice Girl.
Okay, yeah, allspice. It's the Megatron one or whatever.
Yeah, it's the one where they all kind of like, they become an eldritch horror as they all
Yeah,
combine.
just a pile of limbs and faces. But yeah, so pumpkin spice, or like pumpkin pie spice, is these ingredients, and essentially it's like how you season a pumpkin pie, and it becomes like this is the list of ingredients associated with pumpkin. And so in 2003, the geniuses at Starbucks come up with the pumpkin spice latte. And the world was never the same. It actually didn't change that much. But it was a hit pretty immediately. So they first tested it in like 100 stores in Washington, D.C. and Vancouver. And pretty immediately, like, the people like it. What were you going to say, Gage?
I was going to make a joke about how in America they also include ammonia in it, whereas in other countries they include like carrot as the coloring agent.
We take what we can get. Yeah, so it becomes a hit, and I do feel like it was almost a sleeper hit for a while. Like I feel like I had never heard of pumpkin spice stuff, and then like 2015, maybe
it was
even
college.
as early as like
It was college,
2012.
probably.
Rolls around, and maybe it's just a college thing. Maybe if we had been in college in 2006, we would have heard about it. Because like I don't know. I mean, we didn't live in a town with a Starbucks. For most of our school career, we didn't live in a town with a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And like, well, I've got nothing to say about the coffee shop that we did have. It was a great place, and great people worked there. Gage, did you have pumpkin spice when you were there?
Yeah.
They didn't have it when we were in high school, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know what they had when we were in high school because I didn't drink coffee until like senior year of college.
Yeah, that also doesn't help me like understanding when pumpkin spice entered the mainstream because I didn't drink coffee.
Yeah. That's technically not true. I would have like the occasional coffee drink, but it was mostly like frappes and like I get a spice
Oh,
like
yeah.
a dirty chai or something.
Yeah. That's the way. But in 2003 comes out and like people like it pretty quickly, but then eventually it does kind of take off, and I couldn't really pin down a year that it happened. But I do remember like we're in early college, late high school, somewhere in there, and like it feels like pumpkin spice is everywhere, and so it begins to spread far beyond pies and lattes and stuff. And as a matter of fact, Gage, I have a game for you to play. Before we play this game, do you have any thoughts or questions?
Before we play this game, I need you to know that Good Mythical Morning did a pumpkin spice video where they taste tested every pumpkin spice product they could find at Trader Joe's. So I might actually be good at this.
Sweet. Real quick before we play this game. This has been pumpkins. Yeah, I was looking for ideas of what to do, and I asked ChatGPT for some ideas, and it gave me like 10 options. And then the last one was like the history of how pumpkins became like the season of fall, and I was like, that sounds just boring enough that I would love to do it. And so here we are. This is how pumpkins became a thing. We'll play this game, and you might have a distinct advantage about it. There's only one way to find out. So the game that we're playing, guess the game, Gage.
Is it? I don't know. I was gonna guess it was something along the lines of like, does this pumpkin spice product exist?
Close. Which of these pumpkin spice products does not exist?
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. How many of the answers is going to be none?
Don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. So the first category is sweet snacks. If I were a better host, I would have had this prepared, ready to go. But that's all right. So first is pumpkin spice Cheerios. Second is Rice Krispie treats. We'll just shorten that. And then third is Oreos.
Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
All right. And which one is it, Gage?
It's Rice Krispie treats.
It is Rice Krispie treats.
I've had the pumpkin spice Cheerios and pumpkin spice Oreos before.
That helps. It's an abomination that Rice Krispie or pumpkin spice Rice Krispie treats have not been invented yet.
No, it should. It should exist, but it doesn't. Yeah.
They're homemade recipes, but I've never had a homemade Rice Krispie treat recipe that comes like within a mile of like actual name brand Rice Krispie treats.
The ones that we made at the coffee shop were pretty dang good, especially if you got them fresh.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
And that's not just me getting out of it. I'm not going to be back there for a while.
I don't even know. Vicky's not there anymore, so I don't even know if they make them anymore. Savory.
So you might have an advantage here too, because I assume that they tried these.
We'll see. It's been a couple of years actually since I watched it. I don't watch them that much anymore. Spam,
ramen noodles, Dino Nuggets.
I'm going with the Dino Nuggets.
That's 2 for 2. It is the Dino Nuggets.
Like, I full-heartedly believe that Spam, they would make pumpkin spice Spam. Like, that's the easiest of these three to accept.
Yeah, I feel like...
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume that ramen noodles... I don't know what I assume about, like, the company behind ramen noodles. That they're just, like, some factory in the middle of China that pays no attention to world news, but just, like, continues to pump out, like... Pay me 5 cents for this brick. Like, they just keep doing their thing, and that's that. But it was like 2019, maybe, that they really 2021.
I was gonna say, if it's 2019, that feels really early in.
Yeah,
I know it's not technically, but that feels like it was so long ago to be putting out something like that.
Yeah, 2019 was. It's also long ago. But you got it right. It was, in fact, not Dino Nuggets. So now. This one's a little bit trickier because Good Mythical Morning did not eat these.
Speak for yourself.
Probably. So, first is deodorant. Second is toothpaste. I'm going to warn you before I do the third one. The answer might shock you. The third one is acne cream.
Okay, so I use Dr. Squatch, so I know that pumpkin spice deodorant is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing it's not is toothpaste.
Sorry, Gage, that's incorrect.
Okay.
It is all three of them.
All three of them do exist?
All three of them do exist.
What?
toothpaste and acne cream like are pretty
Actually,
small
that doesn't
companies.
shock me. That doesn't shock me.
The
Toothpaste.
the only place I found that did the toothpaste is like a really small company. Seems like a really small company that only does like pretty niche specialty toothpastes.
Mhm.
So it's like definitely not like mass produced. So you can make a case that toothpaste doesn't, and it was out of stock.
Okay, here's a quick theory. What
Sure.
if pumpkin spice is the new bacon?
Well, absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. I think it is.
So here's the thing: the reason the bacon became what it was is because, and actually, this is kind of like goes back to there was a surplus of milk, and that's where the Got Milk campaign came from. Is
Yeah.
the government was working with these? I think it was actually during the government cheese era, but they were working with these companies to sell all of these dairy products, and so that's where the Got Milk campaign came from. Well, bacon sales were not good, and so they started putting out the bacon stuff. So, what in pumpkin spice wasn't selling well is my question.
The mace.
Because every time this happens, it's because there's something that they have a surplus of that's not selling. Cinnamon, I don't think we had to worry about. So, it's got to be one of the other things in there. Nutmeg, even. I don't think nutmeg is something we have to worry about. Could it have been allspice? Could it have been? Could it have
Could
been
have
the
been.
mace? Could it have been cloves? I don't know. Something had to have not been selling, or there had to have been a surplus.
That's a shiny head.
We have to have like a little sound bite that plays anytime I get onto a conspiracy theory.
No, I do like I'm with you 100%. Like I think that anytime something all of a sudden is like the really cool thing, you have to wonder
Mm-hmm.
where that came from, why the advertising campaign came in so strongly. And so I feel that about like definitely about pumpkin spice. There was something the other day that I was just thinking about like, man, this feels like I've been seeing it pushed a lot recently. I wonder, it's got to be kind of the same thing. It's like a mundane thing that
Mm-hmm.
has been normal for years, but now it's like the thing. Man, some special, like not special, but just like some sandwich or something that there was a lot of. I can't remember what it was. But no, I definitely think that there's a solid chance that pumpkin spice is like that exact same case. And I mean, there's a solid chance that like Starbucks, because like they started it, there's a solid
Mm-hmm.
chance that they paid people to like make it a big deal as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or I mean, there's a solid chance that Starbucks did it and then people really liked it and then it caught on. Like maybe.
Well, the drink itself, like the latte, it's a good latte. It is a good latte.
Yeah.
I love it. I get it every fall. I do. Not every time, but I get it every fall. It's the pumpkin spice, everything else that is pushing me in this direction.
Yeah. Last one. I've titled this section. I'll go ahead and write it out, even though it's going to take forever. You can skip this in the editing. It's called I Like Pumpkin Spice, but why though? So number one is pumpkin spice. I didn't even write it out. That's all right. We're committed. Anyways, motor oil. Two is butt wipes. Two S's there, cause science. Number three, dog treats.
Okay, so I know that the dog treats exist. I've seen them.
Tucker has eaten them.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tucker has eaten them.
Yeah,
I haven't seen either of the other two, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'm going to guess all of them exist.
that's a good guess. Motor oil does not exist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but there exist images of like a thing of oil with like a fake like sticker put on the side of it that says like pumpkin spice motor oil.
So the pumpkin spice butt wipes.
Dude
I assume
wipes,
it's just scented.
not flavored.
Yeah.
That's a good guess. I'm not positive, but Dude Wipes did release them at one point.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I smell just well. I assume I smell just fine with toilet paper, but who knows? You know, I could be smelling like cinnamon, allspice,
I
ginger,
wouldn't
nutmeg, and
mind
clove.
smelling like pumpkin spice, actually, I don't think.
I feel like I think about the stuff that's in pumpkin spice, and it's kind of a spicy spice, right?
Yeah, a little
So
bit.
I don't know that I want it, you know. But other than that, it does sound like a fine time. But anyways, this has been pumpkins. So I've got a closing thing. So from ancient Samhain lanterns to Thanksgiving pies and Starbucks lattes, pumpkins became the symbol of fall because they merged old world folklore with American harvest traditions. And then, modern marketing helped or whatever. But that's what I've got. This has been a brief history of how pumpkins became fall.
I love that. I love that so much. I know that you said that like this is a topic that's just boring enough for me to get into it, but it's so fun.
Thank you, Gage.
It reminds me of the Jingle Bells episode.
Uh-huh.
Conceptually, and maybe I need to stop looking for things that are just incredibly interesting to me and just find something like this and run with it. You're very good at it, though. You are very good at it.
Well, I appreciate that. No, I feel like there's just enough in the boring things, the mundane things. There's always something more fascinating underneath.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. Like I was specifically looking for something boring because I know that there's something fascinating underneath. And there's a way, like I can grow in this. Like in every boring story, there's a way to tell it in a compelling way. And so I definitely enjoy the boring stories. You keep telling your fascinating stories, and I'll keep telling my boring stories, and we'll keep doing this thing.
Well, when I said that, I was like, that's not to say that the things you come up with aren't fascinating, because they are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is in how you tell it and how you piece it all together. Yeah. You have talked about cannibals on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
I feel like it just kind of comes up now. It hasn't for a while. We also haven't talked about.
For a while.
We haven't talked about. Did you say I haven't been allowed to talk for a while?
Yeah, my producers have kept me hush hush.
We haven't done a plane crash in a long time either.
Yeah, maybe
next week we're doing September 11th of 2001.
Maybe you've heard of it. It's a boring story, but we'll see if we can turn it fascinating.
We'll see how many jokes we can make about it.
Yeah. Back in high school, when I wanted to be a not cringy, what's the word I'm looking for? Edgy little boy. I remember being like, "You guys want to hear a joke? 9/11." And man, it got laughs. I was killing it back then.
I feel like it was that kind of humor. Like, okay, here's the thing. Depending on the situation, that kind of humor still kind of works for me, sadly. It depends on the situation and the delivery, of course. But, like, there's one on Legends of Evantris. It's why did the monkey fall out of the tree?
Why, Gage?
Because it was dead. I mean, that's why. Why did the bread fall out of the tree?
Why, Gage?
Because it was stapled to the monkey.
It's a quality joke.
It's so dumb. I prefer jokes that talk about dead animals over ones that talk about dead humans.
That's fair. Let me think through my favorite genre of joke right now.
But my favorite genre is bald jokes.
That's a good one. Mine too, weirdly enough.
Like, I can always catch people. For some reason, I can still catch people off guard with them. Did I tell you the medical condition one that I made at work?
No.
So there are these girls braiding each other's hair, and I walked up and I was like, "Me next." And one of them said, "I knew you were going to say something." And they were both laughing about it. And then I was like, "Yep, I have one joke, but it lands every time." And then Anna was like, "Well, yeah, that's because your jokes are actually about something funny." And then I was like, "Yeah, medical conditions are hilarious."
That's so good.
She didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
She was like a little bit mortified. She was like, "No, that's not what I meant." I also think historically,
I heard what you said.
When I make any kind of self-deprecating jokes, guys typically laugh along very easily, and girls typically are like, "No."
Man.
But they want to laugh.
It's so easy to laugh at bald people.
It really is.
I'm going to show you how to make some art real quick.
Oh, I'm ready. Do we want to close before we do art for a minute?
Nope.
Or do you want that in the episode?
You close, I'll keep drawing.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us to talk about how pumpkins became synonymous with fall. It was really fun for me to hear about it. Thank you, DJ, for telling us all about this, for doing the research that you did, and for doing it last minute for the most part, because I asked this morning, it was probably morning, if he could come up with a second option. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Right now, I'm into pumpkin spice. That's what I'm into. It is fall again, and I am so excited. I love this season. and I'm excited for what we have coming for you guys as well as for ourselves. I also want to give a quick thank you to Adam Ward, Jared Scrother, and Jacob Casey. Thank you guys for being involved with the music that we have and the different things that we're able to do in that regard. If you are somebody who's listening or interested in getting involved on the artistic side of things with us, please reach out to us. We would love to work with people and just be involved with our listeners in regards to those things. And if you want to get involved in any way whatsoever, even just hopping on an episode, shooting us a question, giving us topic ideas, please just reach out. You can find all of our contact information for the podcast in the description below. And I try to check all of that stuff pretty frequently. So if I don't get back with you immediately, it'll be within a day. But thank you guys. You're all great. Stay lovely and enjoy yourself some pumpkin spice.
If you're still listening, I'm sorry that you had to see this pumpkin. Anyways, I'm still growing. What am I into? I got my wife a board game called Wormspan for her birthday. It's like Wingspan, if you've ever played it, but it's dragons instead of birds. And it's fun. It's just a nice chill game. We've only
WYRM.
WYRM. It's fun. It's just a pretty quick and easy little game. It's a bit more complex than Wingspan, but we enjoyed it. We kind of like more complex games, so it was good. I'm already thinking about what I'll get her for Christmas. Probably another board game, because it's a gift for both of us. Anyways,
for all you married listeners,
get something you'll like for your wife. Anyways, thanks so much again for listening. As always, if our thanks aren't sufficient, we're sorry we've let you down. Go thank yourselves. Have a merry Halloween.